Hey kids, welcome to Unit 1, Lesson 3 of the Neighborhood, Exercise 1. Investigate and modify. This is one of these lessons. They're going to ask us a couple questions. We're going to take a guess before we run the program. Then we're going to make some changes and take a guess before we run it and see what those changes do. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what we're going to do today. Run the program to observe what it does, then make the following changes to the program. Run the program after each change to observe the results. It looks like I have two questions. Where does the painter object start? What direction is it facing? Where does the painter object stop? What direction is it facing? Two good questions. It looks like the next is adding some code. So let's take these two first to run it, see what happens. Where does the painter object start? Well, let's look at our code here and see if that tells us anything. We have our import statement right here. This is bringing in the painter object. On line 3, we have our class header. It's my neighborhood. Again, note, name the same as the file. We have our method header here. Again, this is standard in almost all programs we're going to write. Down here, we're creating an object of painter called myPainter. And again, remember, all this is just like you saw in APCSP. If we declared a new variable, it'd be var myPainter equal blank. Well, in this one, we named a variable type, and we're going to learn there's a bunch of types. There's double, int, strings, booleans. You can also declare an object. So we're declaring the object is a variable. The name is myPainter, and it's just a new object of painter. Down the road, we can learn that we can inherit things, so we can call different objects in here to create other versions. Down here, it looks like myPainter is going to move. And that looks like 1. Then it's going to take paint, turn left, turn left, turn left, move, paint coral, move, paint thistle, and that looks like everything. Well, where is it going to start? I think it's going to start in this corner up here. I think all Java programs start in this upper quadrant up here. And I also think it faces east. For our purposes, it's going to be the standard compass, north, west, east, and south. That means, where is it going to start? I think it's going to start right here, and I think it's going to face the paint bucket. Where does the painter object stop? What direction is it facing? Well, looking at the code over here, it's going to move, take this paint, turn left, turn left, turn left. So that means it's going to be facing down because we don't have a turn right yet. And then it's going to move 1, paint coral, move again, paint thistle. I think it should end up down here then in this dot facing south. Let's run the program and see if I'm right. And it looks like it did exactly what I said. Look at those pretty colors there. Let's move on. Add the following code to the program. Run the program. What happens? Why do you think this happened? We're going to add myPainter move, myPainter paint white. And it looks like we're adding it right here. I think what that's going to do is just make this painter move one more step and add one more color, white. Let's see if it does that. Again, it has to be exactly like the variable name we created, and that is myPainter. And we are going to do move. Don't forget your parentheses, semicolon. Then we're going to do my painter again. And this time we are going to paint like above. Do not forget your parentheses. This time it needs to be in quotes because it's exact. It's looking for an exact color. If you go into the documentation, you can see all the different colors. We're going to get to that in another lesson, so I'm not going to cover it right now. We're going to put white down here, and don't forget your semicolon. Okay, now I think we should get one more block out of them at white. Let's hit run and see if I'm right. Nothing happened. Why do you think nothing happened? You're probably looking at your code and going, well, it looks right. And I think it looks right too. What we have to do is look above here. Remember, we only took 2 buckets of paint. We're trying to paint 3 blocks. We just don't have the paint to do it. So I think that's why it's not painting. We just don't have enough paint in our paint bucket. How many times has that happened to you? Oh, kids, I made a classic Rhodes mistake again. I didn't look at my console down here. It's telling me there's no more paint in my bucket, so I was right. That's why it didn't paint. This is an excellent reminder to look at your console whenever you run your program, no matter if it runs successful or not. Good lesson there. Let's look at number 4 and see if it fixes this problem of paint. Add the following code where indicated in the program. Then run the program. What happens? Why do you think this happens? Well, it wants us to add a painter object. So we're getting from the painter blueprint, and it looks like it's a second variable called second painter. So that means we should probably get a new little character or sprite down here, and that's a new painter blueprint. You're probably screaming at your monitor, Mr. Rhodes, you told us about the parentheses. And if you look down here, spoiler alert, it has you add them. Let's run it once without the parentheses and once with it, just to make sure. So I'm going to come down here. Again, we can add this code anywhere we like. It's going to be a painter object. Our variable is going to be second painter. We could name it whatever we want. And again, it's a new painter blueprint. No parentheses. We know this is wrong, but let's run to see. Run, looks like we get an error. Again, pointing to that line, pointing to the end here. It's saying we couldn't compile your program, and we are expecting one of these two things. Let's go up, add our parentheses, go down here. What do I think is going to happen? Again, we're going to have our first character start over here, move to the paint, turn left, paint 2 colors, move to a third one, not paint because they only have 2 paint buckets to paint with. Then I think we're going to create another object. Well, that's just going to sit right there. Let's see if we are right. And that's what happened. So we created it, and notice it went all the way through, then created the object. So keep that in mind. Order does matter here when we're writing out our code. What are the key takeaways from this lesson? Well, whenever we create an object in this painter universe, it starts at 0, 0, which is up here, facing east. Also, remember that we have to be exact, because if we pick up 2 paint buckets, we can only use 2 paint buckets. So again, Remember, our code has to be exact, and look in our console if something is not working as intended. There's probably a reason, and it's going to tell us. Finally, when we're creating a new object, and that's what this is here, this is how it's written. We're calling the blueprint, the variable name, new, again, blueprint. We're going to learn some more about this, but for right now, that's what you need to know. Well, hopefully you found this helpful. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next video. See you later, kids. Bye. Bye.